True. However, I think you also need to recognise that those 45% of jobs will be replaced with other jobs. So it's not as if 45% of people are going to suddenly become unemployed in that sense. Having said that, I think the worrying thing about the replacement in jobs is that we will see perhaps a retention of the very high-end jobs. We will see a growth in the very low-end jobs, people who waitress you, who cut your lawn and things like that. But the jobs that are going, and this is the digital impact, are the ones in the middle, the ones that used to do analysis, banking, being a lawyer, and all those sorts of operations, are all being automated by artificial intelligence, machine learning, and robotics. And so the big challenge is not the volume of jobs, it's the fact that future jobs will be very polarized. Both better and worse. Better in the sense, to some degree, we've been shielded from the worst of what's happened in digitization and job loss and so on in the last decade. If you look at Europe, for example, it's not unusual in some countries to have 50% youth unemployment. We've not hit anything like that. And we benefit in some odd way from, in fact, being somewhat dependent on things that can't be moved, like agriculture and mining, in a way perhaps that people don't think about too much. And we also benefit from the fact that actually, to a degree, those areas are our comparative advantage, and that we can build technology industries and innovation that rely on things that are here. We're not competing in the global market to manufacture the lowest cost DVD player, for example. I think that's important. Having said that, we do not have a strong history of, to be careful about the word innovation, we have a strong history of people creating good ideas in Australia. We have a very poor track record of people converting those into big companies. And I think that's where we suffer. So in an innovation sense, we're very good at generating ideas, but we're very poor at converting those into business models that actually can create wealth in the long term. And that's really where we need to focus. So it's certainly not about more tech, more STEM, more STEM. It's actually about people who've got the know-how to convert that into useful outcomes. Absolutely. Robots are not on their way, they're already here. And in fact, Australia is arguably one of the world's largest users of robotics technology anywhere. You don't see it because you're probably not paying attention. It's been $6 billion invested on putting robots into mining in the Pilbara in the northwest of Australia. It's arguably the largest robotics project anywhere in the world. When you fly out of Sydney Airport, you look down on the left as you're heading south, you will see an automated container terminal. It's all being run by robots. Did you know that? There's more unmanned driving going on in Australia than there is in California by a long chalk. So they are here, and I think what's interesting about the Australian context is that there are much better business cases for building robots to do mining, agriculture, cargo handling and everything else in Australia than there are business cases to build a car that drives by itself at this point, which is not going to happen, incidentally, in my lifetime. I think it already is in many circumstances, but I think you need to, really ponder what you actually mean by artificial intelligence. The very first head of the very first AI lab in the world, Patrick Winston, who was head of the first MIT AI lab, wrote a book, the first book on artificial intelligence, back in the 1970s. And in the preface he wrote, "What is artificial intelligence?" And he said, whatever artificial intelligence is, it's whatever we can't do. When we know how to do it, we call it an algorithm. There's a lot of truth in that. If you look at the kind of voice recognition that goes on your phone, if you look at the intelligence that goes into managing your affairs, your stock market, investments, the way you run your life, that's all artificial intelligence, right? And indeed it is taking over many of the interactions that you used to have. Perhaps it's changing the way that you wish to interact with people and the way you wish to interact with machines, and it's doing it subtly and gradually. But I think to a degree that's artificial intelligence. And I think, will it take over more of what we do? Yes, absolutely. But I don't think at any point do we really even understand how to answer the question, what in itself is intelligence.